Hello, hello. Welcome to a Dreamer's Experience Conquer the Chaos. My name is Sean Laurie, and as a father and foreign entrepreneur, I want to give you guys different insights or tools each week from either myself, my wife, or others that will not only help you as a parent, but also as an individual conquer the chaos.
And hey guys, my name is Tiffany Lowry. I co host alongside my husband. I do wear many hats, and the two that I'm the most proud of is being a mother and a wife. We've had many chaotic moments as a family, but have somehow always managed to conquer the chaos. And that's why I'm excited to be here with you guys to share part of our journey.
Yes, guys. So we took a little break, for the fourth. Got to relax, be with the family, and hopefully everyone had a wonderful holiday. They're being off of work, barbecuing, whatever you do during that time. But I want to do a little icebreaker real quick. So, what is your favorite show that our kids can't watch?
Right now, for me, even though I just finished it, it's Working Moms on Netflix. A lot of relatable moments for me in there,
All
but
right.
definitely not kid appropriate.
All right, working moms. Never seen it. I've heard her talk about it, but it
Yeah,
doesn't sound like anything that I
it's
want to watch.
not.
But yeah, and for me, um, I watch some anime, so there's animes that they can't watch. So I guess that would be some of it. But that actually brings me to what I wanted to discuss today, and that's just being mindful of what we're programming our kids, what we're letting our kids being influenced by, right, and seeing. And I definitely want to dive into those things when it comes to the kid aspect, but I actually want to focus first on like the parent, or even if you're not a parent, just certain things that we have to be mindful of. And so I wanted to ask you, like, what is some of those things you feel like um, as parents or society that easily influences or programs just the way that people view things or think.
um, Definitely social media.
Mm,
Um, Social media, I think, is the top, especially for parents. And I mean, if we're being honest, nowadays, kids too.
yeah,
There's young kids on TikTok, YouTube. Um, that Definitely movies, TV shows. I think those would be my top three.
yeah, those are good ones. I would say TV for sure, because especially with TV, like the news, for example, right? Like, um, I remember, um, actually, your mom, like, or she was watching the news all the time, but like sometimes because of if you watch the, I'm not big on the news, but if you watch the news, normally it's always something negative, right? And so, my mother-in-law would get freaked out, understandably, because if you watch the news, you a lot of times you would think like, okay, the world's about to end right now,
Yeah.
right? And so, TV for sure. I would also say music. Music
Yeah.
is a huge influence on us. It can even be a trickle down effect on how we parent, right? So if I'm
Yeah.
listening to, I don't know. I'll bring it old school NWA or something. I'm just throwing something out there, but like where they're tough. They're not soft at all. That's what. And let's say I'm want to portray that. I want to be that, right? And now I'm putting it on my kids.
Hmm.
Where no, my kids can't be this way. They're not no Drakes out here or whatever the case is, right? So,
Yeah.
but I feel like music is a huge thing, especially for me. I remember growing up, listening to 50 Cent, who was really big back then. I wanted to be like him. I wanted to be this tough guy or whatever. So, um, I think music is a huge one. And then
Yeah.
um, I want to say family and friends. Family
Yeah.
and friends,
Super big.
can program us to think certain things, right?
Hmm.
Um, and that's, for example, that's why we don't even realize it, but we'll be scared to pursue certain goals or certain dreams because for so long certain things was instilled in us and we didn't even realize it.
Yeah.
That's what I think is like probably for me like the
Hmm.
huge ones.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think definitely family and friends is a big one. Like you said, they can influence us in a lot of ways, good or bad,
Yeah.
you know. So
Yeah, because like what you said with social media, honestly, right? So you'll see certain people, for example, let's say on social media, they're super just extra, where they just want to constantly tell you everything that they got going on, that they're succeeding and everything, right? Or they're posting pictures constantly about themselves. But the reason maybe they're doing that is because they were influenced from family and friends as
yeah.
far as, hey, you can't be happy about certain things,
Mm-hmm.
right? You can't brag about certain areas of your life. So they use that as an escape as well.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
that's a trickle down effect, or the
Mm-hmm.
opposite, right? As well,
Yeah.
where they're telling you, hey, especially I've seen it where some girls have literally, as they grew up and their parents basically instilled into to them like use your body for your advantage,
Mm.
use your looks
Yeah.
for your advantage.
Yeah.
You're gonna get what you want if you show if you show a little breast here, if you show a little buns over here.
Yeah. All
So
those Instagram poses.
yeah, or what's it called, thirst traps.
Yeah.
Thirst traps, right? Um so I think that that's huge. And so I guess with all the things that we just listed, like, now how do you feel like you dove into a little bit, but how do you feel like those in those areas, especially, how does it impact um, kids, especially our kids? Like, how you think that would impact them, or it does impact them?
As far as like what they watch or for
Yeah,
us,
just
like,
yeah. For us, I mean, obviously, you know, we'll more so talk about for us, but
mhm.
I'll bring it full circle with everything in general, because obviously, especially I've seen some things working in the school district for a
Yeah.
long time. But just like for us, how you think those different things can or do impact
Hmm.
our kids?
Um, well, yeah, I think those things, they obviously, it starts with us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because, if we're on social media or whatever, watching something, and then, like, for example, me personally, I don't like, I cuss, but I don't like cussing in front of my kids. That's just me personally. And so I don't like, I try to avoid, either music that has cursing in it around my kids, or, TV shows. Like if I'm watching something that has cursing in it, I don't want my kids to hear it.
Yeah.
And that's because obviously, like we all know, that people that have kids, they soak everything up like sponges. So I don't want my 7-year old, even though he's heard it before, from different places. Like I don't want him saying shit at school.
Mm-hmm.
So um, yeah,
No,
that's
that's I mean, that's a good one. Yeah, I'm not a big cusser at all. But my thing is for me, it's just more so, hey, there's no need for me to use that language for my kids. That's just how I personally feel.
hmm
Also, I look at it like, I'm gonna have disagreements with my kids. We all will. But at the same time, I can get my point across without necessarily using that language. With my kids, maybe use that language at school. Probably, there's a good chance, I won't know. But at the same time, that respect's going to be there, right? So there's times where, I'm sure we've all seen at the store where that kid is cussing at their mom or whatever, right?
hmm
Um, but I've seen it too where they're doing that, but that's literally how their parent talks to them.
that's the dynamic.
So because of that, they're thinking like that's okay. Again, we look at like our kids, it doesn't matter as far as respect. Like they gotta do whatever we say. But I look at it like, no, if we're setting that example, because I look at it like not just for me, but I want them when they're with, adult or someone, that they should be respecting. Um, Even a stranger, there's no reason for them to just be cussing at them for no reason. Show that respect,
hmm
carry themselves a certain way. And so for me, I agree with you on that. Like, cussing is a is a thing that for us, we don't want to do. But it happens. Obviously, our kids know what cuss words are. They heard it before, but it's something we try to make sure, hey, okay, this show's cussing. It's not something we're going to be watching.
Yeah.
That's just how we do. And like you said, with the music as well, social media, especially for us as parents, if you're watching something, whatever, you could be watching a music video, especially nowadays, watching video, and let's say a girl's twerking, right? And so my son, he's super nosy. Um, he's always trying to see what I'm doing on my phone.
Yeah.
So if he happens, gets to see all of a sudden he's watching that, he's like, oh, okay, that's what I should be watching, maybe, or oh, that's what
Mhm.
dad wants. Okay, so as parents, we have obviously social media, TV, all those things play a huge part. But obviously, as the parents, we, I say this a lot, but we set the foundation. Because I look at it like this. This happened a lot, especially growing up. Not for me, but people I know, where
Mhm.
they witnessed their parents cheating.
Mhm. Yeah.
Right, where literally they might be in the car with them as they're doing what they're doing, right? Like, oh yeah, I'm gonna just talk to this girl, and they're like, well, aren't you with mom or aren't you with dad,
Mhm.
right? And so just think about how that dynamic, think about how that would affect your child,
Yeah.
where it's like, oh shoot, like, because now you don't realize it, but you're programming them to say like, oh, it's okay,
Mhm.
or oh, okay, maybe if you have a daughter, your daughter's like, okay, because I mean, I see a lot on social media where girls say, "Oh, I expect my man to cheat. Like it's normal. Like that's
Mhm.
just it just happens. Like there's is only one in me. I know he can't help himself. So I'm gonna
Mhm.
guess. So now their standard has lowered because that's what they saw.
Mhm. Yeah.
So you didn't realize that you were programming them to
Mhm.
basically devalue themselves
Mhm.
and say, "Oh, it's okay. Like
Yeah.
that's fine." Or you know what? Oh, it's on me. The guy I'm with cheated, or whatever the case is. Oh, it's on me. Maybe there's something I need to fix within myself.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna continue to post these thirst traps because that's what I need.
Or even like a lot of that also comes, like you said, from like the different things that we watch, right? Like,
Yeah.
you have the infamous Tyler Perry movies,
Yeah.
shows that everyone loves, and not saying that they're not great or good, but I remember there was this one show that he had. I can't remember what it was called, but there were, two families, the neighbors, the husband slept with the neighbor's wife, and I don't know, it was just like a big mess,
Mhm.
like most Tyler Perry movies and shows are. And so, you watch those things, and even though we may not think it, like, they start to change how we view things and process things.
Oh yeah.
So,
No, I mean that, and that's true. And like I said too, is obviously I'm talking about both, right? As parents and as the kids. But think about this too, like you said with social media, right? If you're constantly seeing for the women out there, you're constantly seeing these certain type of guys, or for guys, you're seeing these certain type of women. Now all of a sudden, maybe the mother of your child, you're looking at her differently, like, oh, why you don't look like her, or the father of your child, why you don't do this,
mhm,
right? And you start getting influenced because you're thinking what you see on social media is reality. How many times I've seen, I mean, I'm sure you guys can relate too, where you see memes, you seen certain tweets, you seen certain posts, and automatically you feel like that's truth. You don't do any research on it. You just, oh man, this must be true,
mhm,
right? And you just take that as your own. But you don't realize like you're actually programming yourself to think a certain way. That's why literally in this country, right, we're divided because, oh, you're Republican, you're Democrat,
mhm,
right? And we're being programmed where at the end of the day, it's like, hey, none of these things really, like, if we're being honest, the government's going to do what it's going to do.
mhm,
Right? But instead, we're having these type of um, arguments, we're having this division, we're having these certain thought processes. Just like for me, growing up, you know, I'll be honest, I used to hate cops,
mhm,
right? Because of what I saw on TV, because of my friends and family hearing their stories, right? And it didn't matter if my friends or family did something dumb to cause maybe for them to get arrested or pulled over or whatever the case is.
mhm,
I didn't view it like that. I viewed it as, okay, yeah, all the police are bad. And I'll be honest, I have a couple stories, right? But when I look back, like overall, my experience with cops haven't been bad, or I just haven't even had to deal with them
Mm-hmm.
because I kept myself out of certain areas and certain things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so easy, especially in the black community, to take on like, oh my gosh, you know what? Every cop hates us. Instead of, well, I'm in this neighborhood, they're doing these things,
Mm-hmm.
so there's a chance they're going to come by,
Yeah.
and having that thought process. And it's so easy, again, especially I feel like it's so easy for with news and things like that to constantly feel like a victim, right? Because on
Mm-hmm.
news, oh, racism, this, all black people, that,
Mm-hmm.
this is happening, this and this and this. So um, for me, I always try to do a deeper dive, educate myself
Mm-hmm.
on everything, and so we can make sure we're doing what we need to do for our kids.
Yeah. And I think just kind of talking about social media and what we watch, um, a lot of, like we mentioned before, like what our kids watch, you know. I know our kids like going on YouTube, you know, so trying to be mindful of, kind of filter it and to what they are limited to watch. So
Yeah,
they're not, finding a Spider-Man twerk video or something
yeah,
crazy
yeah.
like that, you know?
Yeah, no, that's what you said is true too. Because like for us, they can't watch. It was a Peppa Pig. Because Peppa Pig, if you heard of it, it's just a pig with the brother, his family, or her family, whatever. But the reason why is because they do like a lot of rude, a lot of things just like inappropriate, the way they talk to each other, things like
Yeah.
that. And again, it's not nothing like super crazy. That's just for us, and that's for our values, right? And same thing, like I look at it like, because I know that's been a big controversy thing, like as far as what's being taught at schools, things like that. And I say, hey, be who you want to be. I don't care. But as far as my kids, I want my kids to be kids. But when I say that too, I don't want my kids learning about having sex. I don't want my kids even thinking about dating or anything like that. Like,
Yeah.
my oldest, she already knows all that stuff. She's 16 now, so she knows everything. Of course,
Mm-hmm.
we talked to her about it. But I'm talking about my little ones. Like right now, I'm like, man, focus on your reading, ABCs, and math, and like dating should be the last thing you think about, right? My kids
Yeah.
still literally, if they see a couple on a cartoon kiss, they're covering their eyes. Like,
They do that with us.
yeah, they do, right? So like,
Like, ew.
and I'm fine with that. Like, I want my kids to be kids as long as possible, because now, especially in 2022, we don't let our kids be kids. I see all the time on social media, kids. Again, if that's what you want to do, cool. Just for me, that's not what I want in my household. But I see kids 6 years old, 7 years old. They're having their son freak dancing, or they're having their daughter twerking, right? And they're like, oh, that's so cute, this and this and this. But you don't realize what you're programming your child, because now your child's looking at like, because you're now sexualizing your child,
Yeah.
and you don't realize it. So now they're going to start taking that on. Oh, like, okay, people like when I do this,
Mm-hmm.
so this is what I should do.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, they're growing up quicker than what maybe they should,
Yeah.
or whatever the case is. Or you have them in certain neighborhoods, right, where now they're seeing people, walking around with guns, smoking, drinking, whatever the case is. Now they want to start being part of that lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how can I do it? Because that's cool. I
Yeah.
want to be a part of this too.
Mm-hmm.
So for us, we're just very conscious of all those aspects where, if we can, we want to keep our kids. None, like, at the end of the day, we don't want to shelter our kids,
Yeah.
but we don't want our kids to be introduced to it without us talking to them first.
Yeah. Because, of course, I mean, as they get older, they're going to see half of this stuff anyway
Yeah,
at school,
yeah,
because that's just
what?
the reality
Yeah,
of it. So, as long as we can, shelter them, I guess, from it as much as possible now, and like you said, like talk to them about these different things, because like we mentioned before, like, Shondell,
mm-hmm.
he's 7, and like he's heard cussing at his school already from a couple of his classmates, but he came home to us one day and was like, oh, isn't, I think he said, what was it? shit or something like
Something
that.
like that.
Yeah, he was like, "Oh, we don't say that, right?" And we're like, "No, we don't. No, that's not a good word to say." And then he told us like, "Oh, okay, yeah, I heard it from so and so at school," but he knows like that that's not something that he hears around here. So he kind of recognizes like, oh, okay, like that's not something we're supposed to say,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, if we used it all the time, I'm sure they probably look at it differently. Like,
yeah,
that's how you guys talk, so I
yeah,
should be talking like that. And again, at some point, will he probably, as he gets older, probably cuss or something? There's a good chance. I probably won't know about it, but there's a good chance. Um, but yeah, it's just basically us just really being mindful. And as our kids mature, then we can have certain conversations with them. Because I've already had certain conversations with them on certain aspects.
mm-hmm,
Um, but it's like, okay, also know at the same time, my youngest is, they're what, 7, 5, and 3.
mm-hmm,
So I'm not gonna just talk to him about all these things. I'm not gonna, for example, I'm not gonna talk to him about pronouns right now. They'll be like,
yeah,
what do you mean? Right? Like, it's just too much for them right now.
yeah,
But as they get older, yes, hey, some people want to be called this. Hey, this is what some people do.
mm-hmm,
So but for me, I don't want it to be where I influence them to, because I feel like, especially now with TV and things like that, everything is so easy to be influenced with so many different things.
mm-hmm,
Right? You watch TV, and you're, whatever it is, you're thinking whatever they're showing you, X, I don't know, whatever X is happening everywhere.
mm-hmm,
Right? And so for me and my family, I'm like, no, that's not the reality, and that's not, what I want you to be thinking is truth.
yeah,
Because it's so easy, because there's so many times our kids will show us something on YouTube, and they'll think it's true. They're like, oh, it isn't. I'm like, no. Like, oh, well, I saw it on here. And that's
yeah,
that's how our kids are. I mean, heck, that's how us as people are.
yeah.
Oh, I
See
saw
something,
this on I saw
yeah,
this on the news. Oh,
Instagram
someone,
or
yeah, someone tweeted that, I don't know, Bow Wow fell down, right?
yeah,
Whatever. So yeah. So yeah, that's something though that I feel like, especially as parents, we're sharing obviously what we do, but as parents, I just feel like we have to definitely be conscious of what our kids are being programmed, what's being inputted into our kids, what's being instilled in them. Are you instilling whatever values that you believe in them, or are you letting social media, TV, or you might be like, oh no, they know better. Okay, cool. But what is your action saying?
mm-hmm,
Because you can say, oh, I talk to them about this all the time, but then you're constantly on your phone, and you're watching something you shouldn't be.
mm-hmm,
And they're like, oh yeah, I know dad always watches porn,
mm-hmm,
right? Like,
yeah,
or I know mom always watches certain shows that be cussing, and she laughs, she thinks it's funny, so
mm-hmm,
that means I should be cussing because it makes people laugh,
yeah,
so I'm gonna just cuss at everybody, right? So just being conscious of those things, and again, this is something that we do, doesn't mean that works for you guys, but just being conscious of it, whatever it is, because
mm-hmm,
it's so easy, like all these different things, because even that's why it's so good that you listed social media, TV, music, all those things are big, but so is family and friends. Those are huge,
mm-hmm,
huge, huge.
yeah,
Especially music too. Like I mentioned, I wanted to be 50 Cent, but if you're blasting certain music where, you know, like I said, it just depends. But if you have a 6-year-old and now they're singing, I don't know, I know he's in jail, but what's that? My body's telling me no,
oh,
or
R.
whatever.
Kelly,
Yeah, R. Kelly, right? You playing? He's probably not someone you should be playing right now.
yeah,
But you know what I mean? Something like that, where you're playing something like that, like "Freak on Me, Baby" or something,
yeah,
and now your 6-year-old, "Freak on me, freak on me."
yeah,
You don't realize, like, they're saying it, they're repeating it, just like how, because we get programmed by music too very easily. Just think about how many times you said, "I hate this song," and then I don't know, a week later you're singing it because you kept hearing it on the radio,
mm-hmm,
or one of your friends kept playing it, or you went to the club and you heard it over and over and over again. So now all of a sudden you start liking that song because you heard it, because it's being repetitive, right? You didn't
mm-hmm,
realize you was starting to like, man, I know people say I hate that new Drake album, and then next thing I know I hear, man, that Drake album's pretty good.
yeah,
because you kept hearing it.
Yeah.
So
I know. Even some of the song, like even now, like I know on my phone I have like a kids playlist, and even some of those songs that are on there now, where maybe I could play when my oldest son, he's 7, where maybe I can play them when he was like 5 and didn't really comprehend or wasn't really like singing along or understanding certain things. Like now, I kind of have to take out some of those songs because they, even though there's no cussing, like still the words are inappropriate for
yeah,
me,
yeah,
so
yeah, yeah. No, so I guess I wanted to ask you because obviously when we're talking about like which I've mentioned before in other podcasts, but 0 to 7 is like the imprint years for our kids, which is so crucial once you're instilling into our kids.
mhm.
Um, so like at this age or as our kids are growing up, what do you feel like for our kids should be like if you could pick just 3 or 2, like the focus for our kids right now, like
Like,
what should be instilled in them right now, like just for our kids that you feel that'd be like beneficial? Like I guess in a way, like what is something they should be focused on?
being a kid playing. um I think it really just depends, like, because for example, Shondell, he's really into basketball, so he's constantly, wanting to practice, wanting to, even on his iPad and stuff, like he's constantly watching basketball and stuff like that.
Mm,
So whatever, I think whatever interest they have, like, focus on that.
yeah, no, I like that. That's good. I mean, yeah, that's true too. Because with Junior, yeah, I mean, he knows I like basketball. So again, I could have maybe influenced him some. But there's certain things he just started to pick up on his own
Yeah.
that he wanted to do, which is awesome. But yeah, I mean, I agree too. I guess for me the focus for my younger kids is honestly education.
Hmm.
Continue to grow in that. Reading, writing is so important. I make sure I always try to tell that to the kids. Um, Confidence,
I was gonna say confidence too.
yeah, confidence is a big one, especially at this age, um, especially for my kids who at times they have social anxiety. So confidence, and then like you said, just being a kid, like those are probably the 3 main focuses for me.
Hmm.
Um, you know, and for what I want my kids to really take on um, at this age, at where they're at right now.
Yeah.
And obviously, then from there, it will start expanding, right? Where
Hmm.
things they can focus on. But for me, and so as a parent, what is it that you want your child to really focus on? Do you want your child to be consumed with COVID? Do you want your child to be consumed with uh, Republican, Democrat, uh, Black Lives Matter, All Lives Matter, Police Lives, whatever matters to you, right? What do you want your child to be focused on? Do you want your 9-year-old to be really just stressed out about it, or do you want your 9-year-old to be, you know, playing? I don't know, whatever. I just use 9 years old, but whatever age your child might be.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the big things too is, are we instilling what we want into our kids, or are we letting them, you know, kind of come up with their own beliefs and,
Mm,
experiences?
yeah, yeah, that's true. Um, Yeah, I mean, that's honestly that's the best way. Now, obviously, with certain things, because you could be like, oh well, yeah, they have their own experience. That's why I just let them watch YouTube unsupervised.
Well, I mean, obviously within the guidelines of your parenting
Yeah,
and
yeah,
whatnot,
true. No,
you
no,
know.
that's true though. I was just saying for those people that might be like, oh yeah, so that's why I just
Oh,
let them,
yeah.
you know, watch
No.
people get shot,
Yeah,
or
no.
whatever the case is. But no, but yeah, guys, I definitely appreciate you guys, either watching or tuning in. What I want to share with you guys is something that's coming up. Is actually was it July 16th. July 16th, I'm doing a father event for all the fathers. So if you're interested, if that's something that you would like to be a part of, definitely let me know. We're going to be just diving into, as a father, we're constantly wearing different hats. We're constantly supporting everyone else. But a lot of times we don't get that support, or a lot of times we don't know how to actually pursue certain things we want to pursue. So I'm going to dive into that. So if that's something that you want to be a part of, or if you want to actually be part of the father membership that I have, or it's different events like that, giveaways, um, certain books. I actually, well, one book I created, No Perfect Parent, and then I have another one that I'm almost done with, which is focused on the emotional intelligence. That's what I'm saying out too for the people that are actually members. But if you want to be a part of that, you can be. All you have to do is go to conquerthechaos.net, conquerthechaos.net, and then once you go there, just go to the menu button, and you can be part of the father membership.
Mhm.
And if you want to also be a part of, like I said, the father event, even if you're not a member yet, you can reach out to me either on there, or you can even email me as well, whatever is easier for you guys, at dreamersambition@gmail.com. But yeah, I would love to have you on there. It's going to be like almost like a roundtable discussion. I'm excited about it. I did a few already, but yeah, this was going to be fun. So I'm excited about that. But make sure, guys, like always, you subscribe, tell a friend, share it, all that good stuff. And before we go, just remember, as parents, to keep being an impact and never downplay the impact that you have for your loved ones. And just know every day, you're conquering the chaos.
All right. See ya.
Have a good one.